And then you can just pause and stop. So, I'm doing this C double stop here, which is made up of 2 notes from the pentatonic scale. And the melody note is the lower of the two. So what this one does is anytime there would be a sustained note, like it's originally a fiddle tune, right? Anytime there'd be a sustained note, we're just tremoloing a double stop. And then when we're going to melody, we go to single notes. And then we have these pickup notes, kind of iconic, normal to be expected pickup notes. We're we're in this shape here for our pentatonic scales. Right, if we were to go down the scale, that's a big part of the scale too, right here. So that's kind of our home. But anyway, the pickup notes of there are, or you could just open A, or I kind of like the shortness of the third finger. To get it even shorter, I kind of like lift my fingers like I would be doing a chop. Right? I kind of like that sound. So anyway, those are the pickup notes, and then let's get back to the melody like in little bursts. So we've got... da 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 with pickups. That's still in the C chord, so. And then the F chord. Let's see if that's right. So I noticed that I missed this note here. That's just a passing note, right? It's not from the pentatonic scale. And it works because it's a passing note. Right? So we're still kind of in this pentatonic scale. We just have this quick passing note of an E note. Although I do pay attention to the fact that like the melody has a D note in it. And we have this passing note to an E all over an F chord, which is a very bright sound. So I think that the idea that we're using a D note and an E note in the melody over the F chord, to me, is a really smart choice. It creates a feeling of the song being light and fun and less dark and bluesy, but more like kind of light, fun, and fast, right? And that's like another side of bluegrass. That to me is just the brightest bright you can get. So interesting choice of notes for the melody, right? We've got the sixth, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and the 7 of the F chord. So I just take notes of that because it might influence my improvisation later, right? Knowing that the character of the song is kind of bright. All right, so put everything we have together. 1, 3. That's kind of what we have so far. 2, 3. Now, what I'm doing here, kind of like guiding you through this call and response, what I tend to prefer really is just once I've learned these little chunks, and if you get really good at this, you don't even need to learn the chunks. You can learn whole sections at a time, like memorize them after you've heard them. But I like to just play along with the loop at a really slow speed. That way, if I get an idea in my head that's different from the melody, it gets fixed, right? So let's just focus on, instead of building repetitions on these notes, let's just make sure we can play each section individually, and then we'll play it through slowly all together. So, da 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 da. So this is out of the G pentatonic scale, G scale. We're doing this note. But you can play here. A lot of people prefer to, I think, stay up here. So it kind of gives you the same shape that we did before, too, on this string. Where now we're doing. But for this one, we have to shift down to a second fret there. If you don't like that, you know, this is one of those kind of fingering things where either way you do it, there's a challenge. So if you've got a strong pinky, you might do it that way. You don't have to shift, but. And there's different notes at the very end. We'll listen to that in a second. So that's that phrase there. And I notice there's no pickup notes to this, so just. And then we finish the phrase here. Same way it began. So it kind of starts and ends, and that's the end of the first A part. The end of the second A part is slightly different, but that last part. So that's the first A, basically. The second A is almost exactly the same except for the last notes. So that's the only difference there at the end. Instead of this one goes. So instead of we're doing. Yeah. So now that we have that part, I like to just loop, just practice it at whatever speed. You can slow or speed up this video depending on your ability, but I'll show you, like, I would just get maybe 5 to 10 reps playing at that speed. Pickup notes that are getting me. There it is. So that's the idea there. You do that as many times as you need at whatever speed is good for you to get that melody real nice and strong. And I find in particular you've got to do this kind of practice two or three times on a tune before it sticks. Like you might approach this even at the end of the day or the morning of the next day and be really frustrated that you had it perfectly the night before and then now you have none of it. That's actually normal. You sort of have to do this process 2 or 3 times in my experience for it to really sit. And then all of a sudden it'll become a tune that you pick up your instrument. It's the first thing you play because it's like, you know, newly in the fingers and really excited. You're kind of really excited about the feeling of it being in the fingers. So anyway, let's learn the B part now to finish off. And we'll just try to make a new loop now. Alright, so there's the beginning of the B part. I'm going to set that loop. I'll share my screen again. So you know what I'm doing. You know I've talked about this app a bunch. The Transpose app, Transpose extension for Google Chrome. If you go to my channel, my YouTube channel, you can find a video describing what's going on here, but it's a really great tool. So I'm going to find the beginning of that B part. Part of the new one. So there's our loop. So now we can just watch it a few times to get a general sense and start doing the same thing we did before, where we're singing tapping our foot to the beat and singing the rhythm that we're hearing, and gradually getting contour or shape. So I pay attention to where my voice is not matching up with the recording. That's it. So then we can, once we've gotten the shape of that, we got the notes in our head, then we can find the notes in individual sections with knowledge of the chords to help us, right? So the beginning is a C chord, and we have this little arpeggio. let's see exactly what's being. This is kind of a classic. You're going up the arpeggio. Just constant movement in the right hand. Just all on a C chord there. And the next part. I notice there's this little pickup or this little embellishment. So da ba dum. And also knowing that that's there, I know that the fingering is this, because I heard that, and you wouldn't be able to do that from this fingering. You have to move your finger or whatever, but. So that's that first. I'm learning in chunks by the chords. A C chord. And now this next chord is an F chord. Oops. So. So this is a longer phrase, so I'm gonna break it into two parts. I heard ba da 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 ba da ba da ba da bom. So that's a tough phrase there because it doesn't all use pentatonic. It has some passing notes. The C note. It has that C note in there. So anytime I hear notes outside of pentatonic, because the pentatonic is so central to melody construction, it can be a little bit challenging, more challenging to pick it up. But we have so that's the first part. So close up. And now last part. That is a C. That's actually an exercise I practiced in with C pentatonic. It goes like this. That's a kind of a really just common musical pattern, and we're hearing it note for note in this session. So it's a C arpeggio with lower neighbors. And passing notes. So. You see how it's just a C arpeggio with lower neighbor tones and passing notes. Right? So thinking of music in that way can help you chunk better. Break it into smaller chunks. And then we restart with just like that classic Monroe lick. That's it. That's the tune there. So once I get that, once I put that all together, I just run through it a few times at a really slow speed to kind of hammer it in. And then you repeat this process a couple times, maybe 2 or 3 times before you start like maybe working it up, playing jams and things like that. So let's try it together. Here's the beginning. Nice. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson on Panhandle Country. Check the tune out yourself. Repeat this process a couple times and you'll have it in no time.